Welcome. What I want to look at with you today is the new cut and use foam pad. So it comes in quite a big pack, it's quite a decent size, and here's one, I've got a bit of it left. It's really dead easy to cut. I just cut it with my scissors. It's got a solid foam on the top, which is quite resistant, so you don't tend to get the dye coming up through the base of it like with other sponges. And then you've got this sponge area, you can see it quite clearly I think there, so it just takes the dye or material content into that amount, which gives you a lot more control. It's also kind of, because you can cut it and have it quite squared off, it means you can really use it to get right round onto sort of flat edges, because it's actually, as a block, you've got that kind of edge movement with it. But you know, it's all about the demonstration, so let's have a little look. I'm going to show you using antique gel, because that's quite a thick heavy one, so we'll see how that goes on, the Conquer Brown water-based stain, and the new hybrid paints, because it's fantastic for applying those onto the leather. You can just really minimise almost to nothing the brush stroke effect, which means you can just get really bright colours. And that works really well if you're going to do things like re-dye a pair of shoes or anything like that, where you want that solid coverage that the paint gives rather than the dye. So let's have a look and see how it works. Tan key rings, as these are quite a kind of standard thing that people might be using. So I'm going to start with the Conquer Brown water-based leather stain. Now, as always, when you're using these, you need to give them a good shake. They have a little bit of wax pigment mixed in, and it can collect around the top. So if you give them a good shake, and you want to be tipping them into a little saucer or dish. Now, you don't need much with these, they go quite a long way, and with these pads as well, they go even further. So I'll get my piece of foam pad. I've just got a little piece that will just hold in my fingers. Obviously wear gloves if you would rather. And I'm just going to literally work it. And it's really easy to just get it on really smoothly and work in your circle so you can work it back. It goes on quite heavy with the applicator pad, so you don't need much at all. So I'm just going to use the sides of it. Because it's got this solid top, it's really good on the edges. Let's put that round. And hopefully you're getting kind of an idea. I'm just going to keep working it over and working it in, so I don't get any of the marks or lines, and it's just going on really nicely. It's giving me a really smooth finish and really neat. So we'll let that dry back, and then I can show you a little bit of it there. So that's that one. I'm going to pop that to one side. I do wash these out and reuse them, so as long as you kind of act quickly, especially with the paints. So sometimes I just keep a little saucer of water handy to just drop them into when I finish, particularly when it's a warm day like today. So now we'll go on to having a look at the antique gel. So this is a lot thicker. Again, giving it a shake. I never work from the bottle with any of these items. It's not recommended. And we give this a little bit of a scoop out. Again, you really don't need very much at all. So I've got another little piece here. This is the dark brown. So let's see how we get on with this. So what I'm going to do with this, I've got a little bit of foam there, I'll just get rid of. I'm just going to, because there's quite a lot on here, I'm just going to even it out onto the base here by working it onto my tile. I like to use a tile for this so that I've not got great big lumps of it. And again, just working in small quick circles. This is really quick, and obviously I'm using quite small ones because I'm doing a small area. But if you were working on a large area and had a larger piece, the coverage you can get really quickly is great. So we'll go down around these sides again, just to show how easy it is with this block formation. And this hand tends to stay really clean even without the gloves, because this is blocking the dye from coming through. Okay, so I'm going to give it just another little coat. So these antique gels, they hold pigment in kind of suspension, if you like, so you get this kind of different texture kind of going on with them. Now this one is a bit thicker and it has the wax on it, and I can see a little bit of it is sitting on the top surface here. I probably went a bit too generous with that, so I always keep a little cloth to hand and just give it a little light go over, and that's come out really nicely. So that's, again, you've got no movement at all. There's no striations, no brush marks. Everything is really smooth and even. In fact, that's about the most even I've seen the antique gel come out. So we'll have a go now on the paints. So I'm just going to wipe back my tile just to give me a bit of space. And I'm going to show you a little bit of a blend with these. Whoop. So there was a small amount come out. Again, really, really only small amounts needed. Well, what is it if you don't get messy? Okay, so again, I've really not got much here, but I've only got a small area to do. So I'm going to start with, I think I'll start with a darker colour. So again, I'm just going to drag some of it to get a little bit of a coating onto the bottom of the bottom half of this applicator, because I'm going to go to the light one. So what I want is to have a heavier colour on the bottom here. Let's go to here. Get that to sit on. Like so. And I'm going to soften it up, working further up a little bit there. And now I'm going to turn the sponge up so that I can pick up a little bit of the blue that's left. Let's take some of that onto there, but start bringing in the pastel. So we can start to use the applicator sponge to start creating a mixed drag across here. It's a very dry day today, so you're going to have to work quite quickly to get blending done, or you can, this is where the extender fluid comes into its own. And then I'm going to go to the light colour at the top. Now again, although this is paint and this is really thick and heavy, I'm getting a really smooth look to the top surface. So I'm just going to have a little go, and you can keep it as well in some ways like you would a dry brush, so you can get this kind of quite nice kind of texture going. I'm going to put a little bit more of the blue along the bottom for a bit of a heavier look at the bottom. But you can sort of see the idea of how it's coming along. So you can create quite an ombre kind of effect with it. And this puts the paints on fairly thin, so you don't get that kind of sense. Once they're dry and they're on and in place, you get really good colour blocking, but you don't get an interference between it losing the sense of it being leather. And again, let's do some round our edges just to neaten off. There we go. So this is the new applicator. I really honestly recommend having a go and trying it for yourself. It's a really economical price point, and it will go a really long way. So it's this is the size that you get, and you can cut it however you want and use it however you want. It is also quite good for using this side up if you've got some tooling and you want to just do a light kind of glaze across the top and not interfere with the sinking in of the tooling. So you can actually use that as a solid block in that sense. I don't think I have a piece here, but I'll do a different demonstration on tooling and these paints at another time. But yeah, there we go. That's the cut, and it's called Cut and Use Foam Pad, Applicator Pad. Enjoy!